So it has been a great honor for us to have you with us on board.
Thank you very much. I must tell you, I was going through your details of other editions.
Okay.
You have Ashmita.
Right.
Ashmita is a very good friend of mine,
Yes, I saw.
and yeah,
Yes.
yeah, she's a brilliant life coach,
Hmm.
and I completely I recommend her to a lot of people. It's really good.
Hope you like our editions and you could have you seen all the three editions?
Yeah, I just checked. I didn't read through everything,
Exactly.
but it's good. It's a very nice initiative that you're doing,
Okay.
especially with the tough times that is going on now.
Right, right,
Yeah, something to fall back on.
right. So
Yeah.
Thanks to Life is basically a journal to invoke positivity and bliss in our lives. So I
Hmm.
recommend love and gratitude. I think they are the two magic pills, and they go
Yes.
together. They are related. If you feel
Yes.
grateful, you'll definitely emit love. So the
Yeah.
idea is to connect to self, to nature, and to understand different emotions, and to appreciate them and take better care of your body, mind, body, and soul. That's what the idea is all about.
Yes. Yes. I saw your message is very strong.
Mhm.
So we're going to discuss about a topic of health, or what is it?
Okay, so the edition next edition is on lifestyle, taking care of your body, health,
Hmm.
nutrition. So this is what all you doing, I know.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And I must but I would like to congratulate for your awards. Ayurveda,
Oh,
the
thanks.
national award in the field of health and nutrition.
Oh, thank you so
You
much.
really deserve it. I was looking through your profile and the website. I'm really amazed the kind of work that you do and the different line that you have chosen for yourself.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
really a
Yeah.
distinct path. People don't really travel to that path.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. But thank you so much for that recognition.
It's you are already recognized. It's like a pleasure for us to have you with us.
Oh, thank
And
you.
we must
I've
talk.
just started online. I haven't, I mean, it's only because a lot of my friends were saying that I think it's time you get onto Instagram and YouTube, and it's only now that I'm getting in. But then I realized that it's so important to be online.
Similarly for me, the Instagram, I first time logged in for this magazine in January. I was not on Insta. I was because I prefer to have less of social media except WhatsApp. I hardly used to have any.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, it's a learning.
Exactly. So the kind of career that I have, I'm a researcher. I'm an economist by profession, and I work in
I
a
saw that.
think tank in Delhi. You're Pune
Mm.
based?
No, I'm Bangalore based now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Bangalore has a very good weather. That's like
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's getting sultry, although
yeah, it's quite hot in Delhi.
I know I can understand, but not as much. I'm sitting without a fan or an AC in the morning with
Mhm.
full dress, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Bangalore weather is beautiful, very pleasant. Yeah.
So shall we start?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So can you please share your motivation and journey about you? Why you adopted this distinct path of being plant-based Ayurvedic doctor and about the functional medicine, responsible medicine. These are terms which many of us wouldn't know about. Responsible medicine and the functional medicine, and about your enterprise, promotive health
Yeah.
and nutrition.
Yeah, thank you so much, Neha. I again thank you for having me over here. And I would like to say that I ever since I took up this veganism, you must have seen that, you know, that I promote plant based. I also talk about saving animals. I also talk about a lot of cruelty that's happening to animals. So my love for animals actually changed my entire profession, and that is when I realized that, you know, my path was towards love for animals. I will do everything that will bring compassion and kindness to all the creatures on the planet. This includes the compassion to our own human beings, compassion to everything that we do. Compassion is not just for animals. So people think that, veganism is probably a dietary choice, but it's actually not a dietary choice. I am not talking about only changing the diet to a lot of my patients, because we follow mindful eating, responsible living, and also the philosophy of living where we consider every living creature as an equal. So a lot of people are also talking about compassion to your own children, to your own family members. So 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 that is what I follow, is the philosophy of love. Like you always talk about love and gratitude, it's all about love and gratitude, where I'm actually trying to give back to the world, probably less or more than what I've received. So my company, Promotive Health and Nutrition, was started 2 years back with the same feelings. And I dedicate this company to a very dear friend of mine who is an African American in the US. She used to be my friend, and she came to me asking for uh, some kind of treatment that would, help her heal her body. She had cancer, and we tried plant-based diet and plant-based lifestyle. But unfortunately, since her cancer was very, very advanced, we couldn't do much, and we lost her 2 years back. So that is what gave me this, gave me this impetus to go ahead and try something uh, which involves our soulful existence, which actually brings out the soul in what we do. You know, that is all about mindfulness, that it's about the meditation where we actually mindfully treat ourselves and help our body heal itself. So I'll talk about what this is all about in our, going forward with the interview. So that is what brought about the change in me, that I thought that, there has to be something that we human beings are missing. So we, from our Vedic culture, we have always spoken about. So this company, Promotive Health and Nutrition, was started 2 years back. This is actually, I can say, I was inspired by the plant-based doctors in the US. I was in the US that time, and I had a very good friend who was an African American, and then she tried everything for her cancer, but nothing worked. So she came to me asking for treatment, and that is when I started completely. I started working, doing a lot of research, working on this principle of healing people by actually helping their own bodies to recover. So Ayurveda is actually a functional medicine, although I did my post graduation in functional medicine there. Functional medicine, if you ask me what it is, it's actually a principle where you support your body in such a way that your body heals itself. I think that's the best mechanism that we should follow as doctors, is to support your body, supplement your body with the best of nutrition, keep yourself healthy, practice love and gratitude, and the body can heal itself. So when I turned a vegan 5 years back, I'll talk to you about what is veganism. It's a philosophy where you show kindness and compassion to all the living creatures on this planet. And it's a philosophy where you don't hurt any creature. So vegans actually don't eat anything that comes from animals, including what they wear. So they don't wear leather, they don't wear silk, and they don't even wear pearls. So to an extent where they practice ahimsa. So in our own Vedic religion, uh, Yama and Niyama, which is actually the rules that are set by Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras, speak about ahimsa as paramo dharma. So our foundation to our Vedic religion is centered around ahimsa. So this is nothing new to us. So we have been exposed to ahimsa long before some British in UK coined the term veganism. So we always had ahimsa, and as religion and our culture evolved, we are what we are at this point in time. So plant-based nutrition is all about using the power of plants, herbs, changing your diet and lifestyle, understanding the body, like Ayurveda, homeopathy, naturopathy, Siddha, Unani, all these they call it alternative therapies, but these were the mainstream therapies until 100 years back, until the British came. So what all these therapies believe, including homeopathy, believes that our body already has a healing capacity. Our body actually can heal. If you see in the nature, animals don't go to hospitals unless we take them, unless they are fed wrong foods and then they develop some issue that you have to take them to the hospital. In the nature actually gives everything that we can heal ourselves. So it's all about using our own body, our own body's immunity, our own body's healing capacity by eating the right foods, by removing the foods that cause inflammation, the foods that are actually not supposed to be taken, because 90% of our people eat junk food that is not even food. If you actually look at the labels, half the things are probably chemicals, and then there is probably flour and sugar and some sweeteners and enhancers. This is the kind of food we are eating, and no wonder people are falling sick. So these were all the reasons why it actually encouraged me to start responsible medicine, to start some promotive medicine where we actually don't do only disease management, but we promote health. So that is why my name of my company is Promotive Health, because we promote health by doing the right diet and lifestyle.
Yes, this is very enlightening what you just mentioned. I know you just gave a broad scenario of it, and when we go into details, we'll
Yeah.
actually learn so much from it. And
Hmm.
I know your statement that love your body and it will love you back. So
Yeah.
I completely understand that body has its own intelligence, and people are not ready to accept it.
Mm.
They said no, no, it's body is made for illness, and only the food is the best medicine, as you say. So if we follow the certain proper diet, then this is what the body's intelligence is all. If we can heal it, or there are other mechanisms also. How we can uh, understand body's intelligence? How we can convince people that yes, body has an intelligence of its own, and we can heal it.
Mm. Yes. So your question is how body can heal itself, right?
Exactly, and how people can actually utilize the
Tap that
power of,
energy.
yeah,
Yes.
power of body.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. How can our body heal itself by tapping its own innate capacity?
Right.
So, well, to answer that question, I'll talk to you about what happens in the modern world is that we do randomized control studies. We do a lot of clinical testing on animals, and then we do placebo control studies before a drug is released into the market. So now, what is the placebo? What is the placebo effect? The patient doesn't know that it is a placebo. Placebo can be just a sugar pill, and there have been tests conducted where someone has like 10 on 10 scale of pain. Okay, so I'll just give you that example. So these are people with very, very severe pain. And then in that study,
Hmm.
Some patients were given placebo and some patients were given morphine to control their pain. And it so happened that the doctor said this placebo actually is an amazing drug. It's a new drug which has come into the market, and it controls pain within seconds. And then, and to the next group of patients, they said that this morphine is been there in the market and it's supposed to be good for pain relief. And then they found that all those patients who were on placebo actually had their pain relieved within seconds. And those who were taking the real morphine, they were like after 30 minutes, maybe minimal control of pain, minimal pain relief. So, what I'm coming to say is that our mind is actually the mind is something that actually does the job. So most of our body, most of our illness is psychosomatic,
Right.
and lot of the medicines are also psychogenic. These are medicines that work on the mind. So when you tune your mind, when you actually kickstart that healing from your mind at the level of your mind, then you're healed. So that is why psychosis is, when you actually get the mind to start working very deeply into a certain thing, it really works. It creates wonders, it creates magic. So Ayurveda actually believed in it. So Ayurveda was all about counseling. It was the connection between the doctor and the patient, where the doctor would actually help the patient kickstart his own healing mechanism. Is first of all having belief in the doctor, faith in the doctor and the system, and then once that is done, the magic happens. So that is the innate capacity I was talking about, is our mind power. So once our mind has set on something and believes that this will happen, this will happen.
Right. Very true. Very true. I think mind power is something which we all have been working, especially in this pandemic time. People are moving towards Ayurveda, yoga, meditation, and to heal their mental health, because people are now understanding this most of the diseases are psychosomatic and we really need to work on it. But
Yeah.
still, why there's so much people, although moving towards Ayurveda, but still there is so much confusion regarding lack of understanding of Vat dosh, Pitta dosh, Kapha dosh. People hardly understand this and they don't know how to heal with Ayurveda, because I know some of the people, even in my family, who whenever they consume Ayurvedic medicine, mostly people do it with their own knowledge, search online
Mhm.
and take the medicine, and then they feel, oh my god, it's producing heat in my body, it's producing rashes in my body, and then they stop it, and then they move to either homeopathic or allopathic. So if you can just guide us how to heal through Ayurveda and make these concepts little clear to our viewers and readers.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
That's actually a very valid question. Like a lot of people come with the same confusions. So Vata, Pitta, Kapha are actually Sanskrit words, and Vata, Pitta, Kapha doesn't mean a word, a meaning, because it's actually like a huge dictionary.
Right.
These three are the guiding force in our body. These three are the cellular intelligence. These three are the governing actions in the body, which was coined many thousands of years ago. Obviously, they did not have any influence of English that they could, explain the neurological or the metabolic, or they could not use any jargon, but very, very intelligently coined terms: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Very simple, understanding of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha is explained in terms of what their physical nature is. So there are so many things. I mean, if I start talking about Vata, I will probably take the whole day. because that is what it means. So an Ayurvedic doctor who has probably done a good learning during his graduation and post graduation will be able to explain to you what is vata. So people understand, in their colloquial understanding, layman language, vata is air, pitta is fire, or pitta is bile or something like, acidity, and then kapha is mucus. So this is what people understand, which is probably not even a scratch on the surface, you know. So we probably just touched a stone in the ocean. So that is what, that is how much vata or pitta or kapha does. That is a vast, enormous entity that is. So basically, what Ayurveda is trying to say is that you are actually a part of the universe. And in the universe, what do we have? We have air, we have earth, we have water, we have ether, and we have fire. So these are Pancha Mahabhut. So these are those forces that are actually doing a lot of things that is happening on the planet. So we have life on this one planet in the entire solar system, right? So they have not found any life anywhere else. So we have all these elements that put together and bring what is life on earth. So we all actually have those 5 elements within us, and this vata, pitta, and kapha are guided by some of these elements. Like for instance, vata is guided by air and akash, the air element and the ether element. So Ayurveda is trying to tell you that it is that cellular intelligence. Every cell in your body is actually a universe in itself, which has all the 5 elements. Every cell, every single cell in your body has it.
Right.
So if you see, every cell has all these mechanisms. It has metabolism, it has phagocytosis, meaning it produces, it destroys, it metabolizes, it creates, and it thrives, and it has a function to do. So every cell in your body has all these elements of Panchamahabhut put together, which comprise of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So for a layman understanding, I can say that when your body exhibits the nature of the air element and the ether element, then probably it is showing an increase or decrease of that dosha. So, for instance, if someone has pain, then we know that there is an excess of air element. Okay. If someone is feeling lightheadedness, brain fog,
Mhm.
or if someone has excessive dryness in the body, then we say that the air element has gone up. Okay, so those are the little correlations, which we can say that this vata dosha has increased, or someone probably is very gassy and has had an indigestion and had a lot of gas, then the air element has gone up because you probably ate food which had excess of air element. So even the foods have all Panchamahabhut. Everything in this universe have all Panchamahabhut. So whenever there's an imbalance, too much of Vata, then it causes Vata in your body. And if there's too much of Pitta, Pitta can be something that has got fire element. So when you have too much of fire element, for instance, you had a lot of chilies or a lot of masalas and spices, obviously next day you'll have burning sensation in your stomach, or you have hyperacidity or burning sensation somewhere else, or in your palms and soles and eyes, watery, and so because fire, this pitta has fire and water element.
Right, right.
Yeah, and kapha has the earth and water element. So if you had too much of kapha foods, like excess dairy, cheese, or had a lot of lassi, and then you also had dahi vada, and then sweets, the next day you're probably going to feel so heavy that you'll probably puke, so you see the correlation between the food and what happens in your body and how your body is trying to balance it. So that is what it is all about. Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. If people are interested, can actually ask doctors who have understood it well and learned it well. And the next question that you asked is, people probably don't believe because um,
Because what?
probably we did not, the Ayurvedic fraternity did not do the advertising as much as allopathic. That is one reason.
Right.
And we did not get into the brains of people through advertising. We did not create the cognitive dissonance that the allopathic Western system has created. Unfortunately, yes, for Ayurveda, we could not achieve that. But then this is a time-tested medicine. It's been there for so many years. It's tested for 3,000 or 5,000 years. So when you go to the internet and then check some medicine, somebody sees, oh, ashwagandha is a adaptogen, so let me go and buy ashwagandha. I know it is very good for my body, and then I'll start popping in. Obviously, you will have rashes, you will have heat, and all those things. Why? Because Ayurveda is a very personalized medicine.
Okay.
Like everybody is born with a constitution. Maybe you have kapha prakriti, I have pitta prakriti. So if I take foods or if I take medicines without understanding my prakriti, then obviously I'll get trouble, because you can take cinnamon every day, but probably I cannot take cinnamon because cinnamon is heating. So that's how Ayurveda views. It's a very personalized medicine, and depending, the doctor can actually say what is good for you.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, this is wonderful what you have taught us. And I think everyone will get something message from it. Even I am
Hmm.
planning in the future editions to make separate editions on Kapha dosha, Pitta dosha, all the elements and the related emotions and the body sickness. So hopefully I can do that and spread more awareness among people, because it's more about creating awareness.
Yes, yes.
And Ayurveda and yoga are not, basically they are prescribing a certain lifestyle that we have to follow, like from waking up at the Brahmurat, connecting with nature, sun, taking care of, there's separate steps for care, taking care of our skin, hair, and proper timings for food also, as per the Vat dosh, Pitta dosh, Kapha dosh, right?
Yes.
So do you, can you please suggest any lifestyle that people can follow, especially in these times when there's a work from home, people are mostly sitting? Any yogic lifestyle or dincharya that you can suggest for people to follow?
Yeah, definitely. I would suggest, now that nobody is going out because of the lockdown, the best way to do is, it's actually a blessing for a lot of people because they cut out on the travel time. They don't have the rush in the morning where you have to get ready and then drive to the office. And so now they can actually focus on dinacharya. There's something called Ritucharya as well. So
Right.
I'll touch upon that topic as well. So Dinacharya is all about your daily activities, your day in life. What do you do? And what is the best thing you must do in order to avoid any kind of imbalance? So the best thing is, Ayurveda suggests that you wake up in the morning at 3:30 because it's Brahmi Muhurtam. And when you wake up, you actually have that window of 3 to 4 hours, which is very productive. So your brain actually releases that chemical, which gives you the most mindfulness and the most focus. So at that particular time, even the nature is beautiful, the weather is also nice and chill, and you can meditate. You have that time when you can actually think without any clutter in your mind. And then you can also do your exercise. So wake up in the morning. I don't suggest 3:30 because for a lot of people it's
I,
midnight. So maybe wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. A lot of successful people do that. They actually are the 5 a.m. club or the 6 a.m. club, because these people realize the power of uh, the mornings. The power of mornings is something that only those people know, because they have done the most productive work in that window, 5 to 8 kind of a thing. So then Ayurveda suggests that you start the day with Surya Namaskar, because now people have this issue of a COVID, where they're developing breathing issues. So the best thing to do in the morning is wake up, do your oral hygiene, and also the oil pulling. Have you heard of oil pulling?
Yeah,
A lot of
I
a
also,
lot of people,
I
you're
also,
doing it.
at times I do. I don't regularly do it, but
Yeah,
it has
yeah.
its benefits, because whenever I do it, even if I am very tired, even if I do it 5 minutes, I feel energized immediately.
Yes. So, as we know that we have this gut, we have this bacteria in our oral cavity also. So, oil actually helps. Oil helps to moisten your mucous membrane. Oil improves your gut bacteria, provides nutrition. It's like a prebiotic for the gut, for the mouth bacteria. And then it also improves the teeth, the gums, strengthens the gums, and so that's, and also improves immunity in its own way. So do that oral hygiene, and then you can do it. Ayurveda mentions about kavala and gandusha. So when you do this, swish that oil. It can be coconut oil. Swish the oil for 5 minutes and then throw away that oil, and then you can brush your teeth, whatever after that. And or first brush your teeth and then do this, and later you can also, a lot of people practice gargling with hot water with some salt. Do that, and then following that, do your Surya Namaskar first thing in the morning. After, say, probably 10, start with 10 Surya Namaskar. And if you're very old or something, just do those asanas which don't, probably if someone has knee problems or something, avoid those asanas which involve you bending and all that. As much as possible, the forward bending and the backward bending, and a little portions of Surya Namaskar, break it down and see what works best for you. And if it's an healthy individual, start with 5, 10, and then increase it. And after that, have your first morning meal, which is fruits. I totally recommend fruits in the morning, because that's the best time for you to consume the fructose, which readily breaks down into sugars, simple sugars that your body absorbs. And for certain prakritis like vata, it is important to have some heavy breakfast.
Right.
So they can probably have some nourishing meal. They can have a porridge, or they can have idli, upma, or poha, whatever. But kapha prakritis actually have less fire in them, meaning their metabolism is slow and they don't feel very hungry. So just fruits would be enough. And if they don't feel very hungry, they can even skip their breakfast if they don't feel hungry. So pitta prakritis can have some warm meal if they feel very hungry, or just have fruits. And then it is also a good practice to have warm water before you start eating.
Okay.
Yeah, so if it is a kapha and a vata prakriti, can have a hot green tea. And if it is pitta prakriti, depending on your temperature, like if you're in Delhi and it's very hot, you can't have hot water, you can have warm water.
Right.
So that is what dinacharya is all about. Whatever suits you the best. So if you have any digestive issues, add some jeera in it, so that forms an infusion and you can have that. And if someone has a lot of heating, then add some dhania, the whole dhania seeds in it, and that is very cooling to your body. And for pitta prakritis, maybe if not hot water, nariyal pani is the best.
Mm-hmm.
because that has all the minerals that your body needs. And even Vata Prakriti can also have, they're very active. They did their exercise in the morning, they went to the gym and worked out. Nariyal Pani is the best
Okay.
to have, as a post workout drink.
Okay.
Yeah. And go about your day. Eat 3 meals, but nothing in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
because you let your body digest the previous meal and then have your next meal. So when you keep on eating, like some people follow this eat every 2 hours kind of a thing. So what happens is it works in some people, it doesn't work for all.
Mm-hmm.
So then you actually start building up so much of indigestion within you that after probably a couple of months it shows on you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to eat a meal when you are hungry,
Okay.
and eat home cooked foods with salads. There should be everything, all the 5 elements in your food. There should be salad, there should be soup, and there should be all the 6 tastes, the shadrasas. So there should be bitter, astringent, pungent, salt, and sweet taste, and also the sour taste. So that is what Ayurveda says. Ayurveda doesn't talk about vitamins. It doesn't break into micronutrients or macronutrients. They just focus on food as it is. Have a wholesome
Mm-hmm.
plant-based food
Okay.
with everything, with all the 6 rasas, and then you will be fine. So that's what I would like to say about dinacharya. And rutucharya is, when the seasons are changing, you actually have to adapt to the seasons. So that's what Ayurveda talks about. In a nutshell, it's like when it is winter, have hot foods. When it is summer, have cooling foods. But if people switch on the AC at home, then it is very confusing to the body. So then when you're feeling very cold, then have something warm. So it is all about balancing the doshas.
Okay.
Yes. So that's about dinacharya and rutucharya.
No, that's very wonderful. That's very wonderful. I have this personal question to ask in this matter, because I have heard that Ayurveda says that 6 to 10 in the morning is a kapha period, and we should have the warm breakfast in that time. And it also says like have fruits, like you just said. So either we should have a warm food or we should have fruits. That's a confusion I think most of us will have.
Oh yes. Yeah. Actually, I will say that, that in that particular time, your body also makes a lot of difference. You just finished Surya Namaskar, so your body is heated up.
Right. Okay.
And then you probably also emptied the glycogen levels in your body. You're very hungry. And fruits are actually very cooling to your body. But then when you add something like maybe chaat masala, or something, some people like to do it, then it actually adds some warmth to the food. It adds the fire element to the food, like salt, or even if you add the chili powder. Some people add chili powder, and that is only for probably kapha prakriti. For kapha prakriti, have warm foods, or no food or warm food. But for vata, like I said, we have to balance. We need to have everything. We need to have a fruit, we need to also have warm meal, everything.
Okay.
But then that's one thing, completely sticking to one principle all the time without considering the person, his age, his workout levels, his calorie requirements, the geographical location. It's very, very important to see all of it.
Right.
Yeah, also bringing the modern knowledge. When you eat fruits, you actually increase the enzyme in your body. We need enzymes. It is not like how they lived many years ago. They will say you have to eat ghee in order to keep yourself
Mhm.
oleated. But right now, I don't recommend ghee. I don't recommend any animal foods,
Okay. Not.
because I don't recommend at all. Even though I'm an Ayurvedic doctor, I do not recommend ghee. The only reason being that it is an animal based product, because I am a responsible doctor, and I feel it's not sustainable. As a doctor, if I tell everybody to have ghee every day, that means We are actually paying for the dairy industry, and the dairy industry, the way it is producing the milk is not sattvic.
Mm-hmm.
Taking away the cow from its babies, artificial insemination, feeding them grains, and then artificially creating them, bringing them commercially to this planet, is not what Ayurveda said.
Okay.
It is completely opposite to the principles of Ayurveda. The milk being taken out and pasteurized is also not Ayurveda.
Mm-hmm.
Adding chemicals to it and transporting it from one city to another city is not Ayurveda.
Right.
So that way, there are certain things we have to change and adapt. So I believe in change. I completely believe in change. So right now, for our 21st century, it is very important to absorb as much as enzymes, as much as nutrition from fruits,
Okay.
and then have your warm meal. That is why start the day with hot cup of water or danya tea or jeera tea, so that already adds a warmth to your body. Yeah.
Okay. This is
So
very.
that way you balance off all the three doshas.
Yes, yes. This is very interesting. Very interesting. And I think people should be aware of this. I think it's lack of awareness that is causing people don't know. They read it something and then they follow it. And then they realize it's doing not good for them.
Correct.
But definitely, as you say, vegan and having no dairy products, not at all, curd, milk, ghee. I think it's not very easy for everybody, especially there's so much fad over having ghee every day. And
Hmm.
even the curd, it said it's probiotic, we need it. So how we can do it? Because otherwise, is I'm getting my point. It's not very easy to be a completely absolutely eliminated. We can have
Yeah,
certain portion of it.
correct. So I'll tell you about it. So it is not easy because it's not available. So when you go to any when you go to buy your grocery, he might not have dairy alternatives. He might not have cashew milk, almond milk, soy milk. Soy milk is available everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
but you will not find it. So you find it very difficult. How am I going to drink my morning cup of coffee? Or how am I going to have my, if you don't find ghee alternative and butter alternative, cheese alternative, paneer alternative. So I understand it is very difficult. But the thing is, do we have to have milk at all? Is a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of our culture talks about drinking milk. Our traditions, our festivals have milk based sweets. It's all about the prasad being milk. The reason it was like that is because when we were evolving as human beings, we lived with cows. So somehow it was easy to get some sweet liquid, which was easy, which we did not have any contaminants. So that's how the culture evolved into having milk into our lifestyle, milk into all our festivities and everything, because it was an excess and it was not for everybody. It was milk. Actually, cows were only with rich people, it was not with everybody. So not everybody had the luxury of eating butter and ghee and everything. But that cognitive dissonance is, when people are taken away something, they are craving for it. So everybody wanted to have, and it became a commerce.
Right.
Yeah, so it became a business that they started selling it because everybody wanted it. And it is the same with the meat also, right? So coming to dairy, I have been a vegan for 5 years, and I don't miss dairy at all. In the beginning, I used to miss my curds because I'm a South Indian and I used to have curd rice. I used to miss it. But then when I didn't find it, I didn't have it. So it takes only 21 days to break a habit. Try it. Try and see. 21 days, give up chai, and you will not crave for chai.
That I agree. That I agree.
Yeah,
And
and why is everybody, why is that veganism is growing so fast? Why are doctors saying not to have dairy? I'm sure a lot of doctors will tell you if you have mucus in your chest, or if you have a lot of cough, they will say don't have dairy, because dairy is mucus producing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the very nature of dairy is like that. It
Okay.
is supposed to grow the baby calf to probably 10 times its weight. It's born at 30 kilos, it will become 600 kilos in just 1 year,
Okay.
because it has growth hormones in it. It
Okay.
has insulin like growth factors in it. It has steroids, it has fat, it has sugar, which is all 10 times more than the human breast milk. Now,
Right.
we are tiny living creatures who are probably how much? We are just 1/10 of a cow, a very well big sized gear cow. We are very tiny, right?
Right.
We don't need that much of fat and calcium and lactose and everything else. We don't need it. And there's growth hormones, and these growth hormones create a havoc in the body. A lot of people won't tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from that, after 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
some people actually cannot. Some people, what, 95% of Africans and Asians cannot digest the lactose, because we don't produce the enzyme anymore.
Okay.
We don't produce lactase. So 95% of people have lactose intolerance.
Okay.
So only babies drink milk. Adults don't need to drink milk.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so that's the principle. And then it comes with a cocktail of so many things. It has steroids, it has antibiotics, it has chemicals, it has preservatives,
Definitely.
naturally occurring hormones, excess sugar and fat, and so many things. Is it really worth taking that? And for what? We are separating the baby from the mother, we are making it a commerce. It's such a painful, it's a very cruel practice.
I agree. I agree. That.
Yeah, and then if you want calcium, have till seeds. Sesame seeds have 1,200 mg of calcium for 1 tablespoon.
Okay.
Yeah, whereas milk only has 130 to 180, depending on the breed of the cow.
Okay.
So basically, we don't need calcium from milk. We get calcium from nuts and seeds, from green leafy vegetables.
Right.
So we don't need to even dals and rice, everything have some amount of calcium in it.
Right. Absolutely right. But
Yeah.
personally, I love curd. Personally, I love curd, especially in the lunchtime, because if I
Mm.
don't have it, then I feel very anxious and all that. My system heats up.
Yeah, so you can make your curds at home. You can make curds with peanut milk, cashew milk, almond milk. It really comes out well. So
I
you
think
you
there's
get
actually,
the,
sorry, please.
yeah, you get the bacterial culture
Hmm.
which is used for curd setting. You can buy that on Amazon.
Okay.
Make your own milk.
Uh-huh.
Make one day you can have soy milk almond milk combination. It really tastes good. Almond milk is very thin, it's very runny,
Hmm.
it's watery,
Hmm.
because there is no fat in it, right?
Right.
So not much of fat. So you can mix soy milk and almond milk and make curds. You can make peanut curds, come out really nice, thick and creamy.
Okay. So
Soy
I
milk comes out really well. Yeah, so
idea,
it's easy to make.
yeah, idea is to be creative enough and to connect with the nature.
Yeah, because you can have your curds, enjoy your curds, get your probiotic bacteria in it. Plus, there is no chemical in it. There
Right.
are no chemicals, there are no hormones, nothing. So it's actually good.
That's why you say food is our right medicine, right?
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
Exactly. Now I got it. How the food is our medicine. I think
Yeah,
it's
and it is not only on the physical plane. It's not just talking about I'm eating this almond curd because I love almonds, also because I love cows. I love all animals. I see how much of cruelty goes into this industry, so I don't want to support that industry.
that is very true. That is very true. But now,
Yeah.
at the same time, there's a food processing industry which is booming very well. They are the processed food, chips, biscuits. People are munching it like anything. You, everyone, I think. I don't
Mm.
do it personally, but people do it, and they're feeding to it. Food processing industry is getting feed up more than the dairy industry. People have stopped having milks and all that, but processed food is rising. Use of white sugar has decreased, brown sugar has taken over, but the processed food industry is so. How we can move away from this processed food, because this is something which is troubling me for a long time. I have been
Mhm.
actually telling to my brothers, sisters, stop having. If you want to have, make it makhanas or something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
process industry is much more. It's a danger in this time. It's a kind of a virus that we are spreading.
I know. I know. Yeah. So, like you said, it's like eating garbage. I started. I think when I started talking about the way we eat now. Sorry. So we are eating all these food that probably has 90% calorie coming from fat and sugar,
Hmm.
and nothing from the food itself.
Right.
So if you have peanut butter or nut butters, then you know that 90% is coming from the nuts.
Right.
But when you eat something like a biscuit,
Mhm.
it is all maida. It's completely processed flour, which has no fiber, which has no nutrition coming from it. It's empty calories, completely empty.
Mhm.
But it has preservatives, chemicals, coloring agents, enhancers, sugar,
Mhm.
and salt.
Mhm.
So what happens is, when you eat loads of these things, your body gets confused,
Okay.
and then the sugar is actually triggers your brain. It's like a sugar is actually a reward. It produces a reward in your brain.
Mhm.
So first time you eat, second time you get addicted to it. Even salt is like that.
Right.
The right combination of fat and salt is very rewarding. You really like that taste, right?
Right.
So then you get addicted. So once you get addicted, you want to eat again and again, again and again. And then that is one thing that happens. It messes up your brain, and then it messes up your gut.
Mhm.
So in the gut, there is a bacteria. There are many, I think trillions of bacteria in our gut,
Mhm.
which do not like this kind of food. It doesn't like processed candies and ice creams and cakes and all those things. So when you start eating junk food,
Mhm.
all the good bacteria dies,
Oh.
and then the bad bacteria takes over.
Mhm.
So then that bad bacteria sends a signal to the brain asking for more junk food.
Okay.
So your gut is called as a second brain.
Right.
So the more you eat, the more you crave for it. But there is a hope. Once you stop doing that, start eating fruits. Then what happens is your body is getting the right nutrition.
Mhm.
And when you eat a fruit, that also creates that happiness hormone,
Okay.
because you feel so nice about it. If you have watermelon, a
Mhm.
nice cold watermelon on a summer day, your whole body thanks, right? So when you have apples and bananas, the same thing happens. So then your body starts enjoying it, your good bacteria starts coming back, and then it starts craving for the right food. It's all about how you break that bad habit in 21 days. You continue to start taking good foods, like you said, makana instead of chips.
Mhm.
When it is fried well, it is crunchy and it feels like chips.
Mhm.
And even nuts, when you start eating things like peanuts. Sometimes peanuts probably can give you a lot of gas, but a little bit of peanuts is good.
Mhm.
And then if you want to have tofu,
Mhm.
tofu is a good supplement for paneer.
Right.
So when you have tofu with other veggies, have broccoli, tofu, and then you have baby corn and all those kinds of things. Just saute it, salt and pepper on it,
Mhm.
and then when you start eating those foods, your body starts thanking, and then you continue this good habit for 21 days. Then you can break that bad habit of having all those crackers and biscuits and chips and candies and all that.
Right. Very true. I think
Yeah.
one of the most favorite breakfast or the snack for the people is bread and butter.
I know, because in the last 100 years we are following British.
Exactly. So bread and butter, I think even in our homes, like 3 to 4 days a week, breakfast. कुछ नहीं मिल रहा, have bread and butter.
Hmm. I know. The
Sandwich.
sad part with bread and butter is most of these breads are white breads, and these breads have loads of chemicals. Just pick up a packet of bread and see the ingredients.
Right.
Instead of that, have parathas at home. Amazing. Aloo paratha, gobi paratha, methi, mooli paratha. It's so good. It is homemade and it's so delicious. And it has whole wheat, it has veggies in it. I mean, what can be more? We also add, if you add sesame seeds in it, it makes it even more crunchy, tastier, and you get the calcium.
But people are moving away from the wheat now also days. They say it's we don't want gluten. And then I don't know, it's a fashion that people are following or it's actually the problem they are having. Because it's
People,
suddenly
yeah, go on, go on.
I'm just it's suddenly it's like I can see the people who have been eating well and they're just suddenly stopped eating it. They said, no, no, I have developed this thing.
Hmm.
So I don't know, it's actually it has been since childhood or they have just recently developed or it's just a more information that they have got and they are feeding into it.
I can say that a lot of people are developing gluten allergy. It is not. I mean, it's not false. It's true that people are developing gluten allergy, and uh, I can say that the allergies have started from the last 20 to 30 years, where when you consume, again, I will only talk about dairy and meat. So when you consume these kind of proteins,
Hmm.
these proteins which are very heavy, and the body, especially your gut, there is something called your gut actually develops so much allergy to it that it starts taking it as a toxin.
Okay.
It can cause leaky gut, and they might develop dairy allergy, peanut allergy, gluten allergy, to an extent where some people can't even have rice.
Okay.
They can't even digest rice, and it definitely is a big problem. Gluten allergy is a big problem in a lot of people.
Hmm.
So even a lot of my patients, I ask them to avoid uh, gluten.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a real thing. Gluten allergy is a real thing. So it's a, if someone is developing bloating, and if they have difficulties digesting gluten, please avoid it.
Okay.
So instead of that, you can have millets, oats.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Nachni is so good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Millets, you have so many varieties of millets.
Right.
Yeah. So every day you can have millet flours. People also are using amaranth, jawar rotis
Mm-hmm.
instead of the bhakri, jawar and bhajri,
Right.
nachni instead of chapati. You
Mm-hmm.
can have that. And one more reason is the wheat right now that a lot of people are using is genetically modified.
Right.
Yeah, so the gluten content is a lot more than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Our older generation probably did not consume this kind of wheat. We are consuming a wheat that is genetically modified, which also probably have glyphosate in it. So it could be that it's triggering that allergy. Glyphosate is triggering that allergy, most probably.
Right, very true, very true.
Yeah.
And the one more thing that I've observed, that when you have certain belief in your system, like if
Mhm.
your mind believes that this food is going to harm me, even like I know people who thinks that if they have salads, they will fall sick, and they actually fall sick. So again, I think it's a effect, placebo effect, or nocebo effect, or what you can say. So it actually the how the mind perceives the food and how it affects. I think that is also the thing which works a lot.
Yeah. Um, I'll tell you, a lot of people are not used to eating raw foods.
Hmm.
A lot of people. Some people even say that I've never had fruits. You know.
I know.
So if you start something new, then obviously there is going to be a problem. Your body takes some time to adjust. So it is quite possible that they develop a upset stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So slowly start with bananas and then start with mono fruits. Just have banana or just have apples, just have muskmelon, and then continue to eat that. And then and don't eat it in the night or after your full stomach, not after a lunch, breakfast, or dinner, before,
Mm-hmm.
because fruits get digested really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So the best time to have fruits is on your empty stomach.
Right.
So have fruits on your empty stomach, and then have your other foods. So that way your body absorbs all the nutrition. A lot of digestion happens in your mouth itself.
Right.
So if they have issues digesting fruits, then maybe you can have juice.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
that way they can start the practice, continue to have fruits for a long time, and then they'll be able to digest it better.
Right. Right. And like the people are getting affected with corona and is spreading so fast. There's too
Hmm.
much supplements that we are taking for the zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D. I don't know because it is also recommended to have 2-3 months zinc COVID and all the supplements that we have. So, is there any diet that you'll prescribe for the patients recovering from the COVID, like 14 days are over or something? Just a quick something you want to tell us, like.
Hmm. Yeah. Now it is essential to have zinc and vitamin C, because to avoid cytokine storm in the future, because it's all allergic reactions are happening. So it is proven that these vital minerals can help people, vitamins can actually help people recover faster. So a lot of fruits and vegetables have vitamin C. As you know, guava has
Mhm.
amla. So they can have natural forms of vitamin C every day: lemon juice,
Mhm.
tamarind, and then they can have guava. They can have also kiwi, oranges, musambi, a lot of these every day. So they can have fresh fruits in the morning, a lot of fruits, and then as a snack, maybe a mid-afternoon snack or an evening snack can be fruits.
Mhm.
And then they can have amla ka chutney and those kind of chutneys, which also have vitamin C in it.
Mhm.
And zinc is difficult to get in a lot of veggies. So it's a good idea to have zinc supplement for maybe a couple of months and then stop.
Okay.
That's what, yeah. But yes, a lot of nuts and seeds have zinc in it.
Okay. That's wonderful. I think that.
Fruits also have a very small quantities, but if they're completely recovered, then there's no need to have. But if they still have like if
Weakness.
there is still infection going on in their house, and they can probably continue for a couple of months, 1 month or 2 months, and stop.
I know there's a lot of weakness also goes up, and the idea is to increase our immunity levels nowadays. That is what
Yeah.
exactly. So I just
Yes.
want to ask you some two quick questions that are related. Like mental health is a big issue now. We need to take care of ourselves, do meditation. So anything you want to suggest on the meditation and the chakra healing? I think that is what the all everything it's all about healing, about the chakras and all that. If you can enlighten us on these aspects.
Hmm. Yeah. I would say meditation is mindful living.
Mm-hmm.
If people want to do dhyan, you know, when they want to sit in a place with no noise around, no clutter in the mind, and they can probably practice om meditation probably for half an hour something is good. So mindful living is more important than just doing a 10 or 20-minute meditation. So meditation should be a state of mind which probably we follow for the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of meditation, that's a meditation that I am suggesting.
Very.
And chakra healing and all that is a lot of people can do chakra meditation. So there are so many yoga experts who are practicing, who are teaching chakra meditation, chakra healing therapies. So if someone wants to do it, they can do it. But it's all about, like, if you say that Muladhara chakra needs healing, that means there is no rooting. We need to understand what this is all about. That is why I say mindful. Be mindful. Understand what it is. Understand what is a chakra. Why should we heal the chakra? What correlation it has to our body? What correlation it has to our thinking, our mindset, our emotional, spiritual living? So doing things mindlessly, chanting mantras mindlessly, not understanding the meaning and why we are doing it, doing meditations, just sitting without understanding what, but the thoughts are going somewhere else, that doesn't help. Then it is not effective.
Right.
Yeah. So just going out and giving, doing some charity, or helping animals with water, or giving them food is a state of meditation. And then doing the right things, practicing gratitude is a state of meditation. So not following things the way it has been told to you, but understanding it and following it, is more of a meditation than just doing sitting in a place. That's what I would recommend.
This is so wonderful. Thank you so much. You have I have taken a lot of your time today, and you have told
No,
us
no problem.
so much about nutrition, mental health, physical health, chakras. So I think, and I'm really amazed by your love for animals. This is
Yes.
so rare, and I'm really amazed. And I feel, are we also doing the same? We are just serving at times food to stray dogs or something, but we are actually not loving. I think we need to evolve into the loving human beings more, and we
Yes.
need. It's all about like loving self, loving your family, loving animals. If you think we are love in itself. Every cell has love, then we'll have it for everyone, not only for self, but for everyone, including animals. So that's what the initiative of the magazine it's all about, to spread the message of love to everywhere. And I've been with the right people, and it's like a big pleasure to have you with us.
Thank
Any
you so
last
much.
any last message that you want to give to our readers and viewers, how to live a bit to live a more happy life, or anything that you message that you want to give at this particular time of pandemic or something?
uh, I would recommend people to fall to practice positivity. The power of positivity is immense.
Mm-hmm.
It is important to have a positive attitude, a positive mindset about everything, about outcomes. So uh, when you do something, be positive about whatever you do, and then look forward to something that is going to help everybody, you know. So every action that you do should bring happiness to everybody. So when you practice that, then the universe covers you, the universe has your back. So the more you give, the more happiness you give, the more positivity you give, then you get it back.
Right.
Yeah, so I would recommend people to follow positivity, and I would also recommend people to be happy no matter what. Like you're saying very rightly that practice gratitude. We came to this planet, have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a purpose, and then when we look forward to each day to do something, bring something good to a person, make someone's life happy, make someone's life easier. If we follow that, then that's the secret for longevity. Because when you have a purpose in life, any small little virus cannot take you away, because your purpose is bigger than that virus.
Mm-hmm.
So your mind and your body is actually protecting you, because your purpose is far more bigger. A tiny little virus or a bacteria cannot take your life off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fear is becoming another pandemic. Facing
Yeah.
fear is what is required now, I think.
Yes, you're right.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And I pray for your good health and for your family and for everyone. Wish you all
Thank you
the
so
best.
much for having me over. I'm also sending prayers to all those people who have been affected during this pandemic. People are struggling to get hospital beds. People are struggling to get oxygen cylinders. It is a very tough time. We can just talk about positivity and happiness and everything because we are in the comfort of our homes, and thankfully God has kept us healthy.
Mhm.
So all we can do is create this wave of health and happiness through love and gratitude that you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Yeah, so we all have to hold each other's hands and support each other and spread positivity, spread happiness, spread love and compassion, and that will heal our planet.
Very true. Very true. Very
Yeah.
well said. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you too. Thanks for having me over, and have a wonderful day.